Here are 15 of the best Ask Reddit stories for today. I hope you enjoy and remember to subscribe. It really helps us out. We post new videos every day.
What's the best theory on UFOs or aliens you've ever heard? If aliens are on this planet, they are likely using the ocean as a place to hide. That greys aren't fully biological, but rather remotely controlled androids, or that they are biological, but their gray appearance is a suit and not the actual body. Imagine other life forms looking at our astronauts saying, "Here come the marshmallow cyclops creatures again." Aliens landed once in Africa, got eaten by lions. Planet now marked as dangerous by the galactic feds. The premise in Lilo and Stitch, that Earth is a mosquito preserve. That if any civilization elsewhere in the universe had the technology to reach us, for any reason, they'd be very likely to also be able to disguise their presence from our detection methods, i.e. they could observe us close up using nanotech, microscopic biological spacecraft etc. and we'd never know. The best two I've heard. We don't allow ourselves to contact lost tribes in the Amazon or other wild places. Extraterrestrials may have similar laws on a galactic scale. We split the atom, but made weapons out of them instead of trying to reach the stars. They leave us alone out of fear that we'll destroy ourselves if war accidentally breaks out. Have you ever listened to a person talk for less than a minute and known you weren't going to get along with that person? What did they say? Told me, "Yeah, all women are bitches, you included." No offense. Within the first 2 minutes of knowing me, I was in a job interview once and the manager cut me off mid-sentence to jump to a weird conclusion. Him: "What do you think the performance of this algorithm would be?" Me: "Oh, it'll be n times him." "Oh, you think it's going to be n? You think it'll be n? That's ridiculous, there's no way it would just be n." Me: You gotta let me finish speaking." He then cut me off mid-sentence twice more during our conversation. We didn't get along. Dude was a total tool. There are different levels to being a psychic. I'm on the purple level so I can talk to the dead. Said a new employee at my previous job. Nope. New guy at work. First coffee break he started complaining about his ex who had full custody of the kids for some unknowable reason and also how he'd like to slash her throat with a rusty knife. "Nice to meet you too, don't think I'll be taking breaks with you." I implied I could leave him. This is how he reacted. "We've been together for 8 years and have a 6-year-old boy. We still aren't married. I just wish we were. It's confusing why we can do everything together except have a wedding. I'm the mother of his son. And it's embarrassing when people assume we are or ask me why we aren't yet." It came up tonight. He gave me the same answer he always does. "Because when we're married I want us to have another child and I want you to stop working. I have to be in a certain financial position for this to happen." I'm unsure the exact number he makes. He doesn't really involve me in what he considers his business. But it's enough for us to live comfortably in an expensive city. I make $30 an hour but only work part-time. He handles the finances. It's true that I want to be a Sam and I want another baby. But I will wait. When I say this, he brushes me off. I said, "Sometimes I think you're playing with me. I've felt this way for a while but I've never said it." He chuckled and said, "Yeah, okay." I said, "I don't want to waste my time hoping you'll follow through." For a moment I felt like I wanted to leave him. Or at least stand up to him. He said, "If you're implying you'll leave, I think we both know that's not going to happen. I never want to be a man who puts his hands on his girl, but I will do anything to keep my family intact. Do you understand?" I said yes. He told me we'd find productive ways to solve my unhappiness. I feel so many muddled emotions. He's intimidating but I know how soft he can be. I resent him but when I air dry my pants they come out with this white crusty stuff. Rubs off easily but WTF. What is a public figure or artist who has done horrible things but that people continue to follow or listen? She's no longer alive, but Coco Chanel is still seen by many as a cultural and fashion icon, but my gosh was she a nasty piece of work. During her life she sold her failing business to the Jewish Wertheimer family, who built it into a successful and profitable perfume house. She then turned them into the Nazis and had their assets seized and transferred back to her as a pure Aryan, achieving sole ownership of the company. She worked with Info for Nazi intelligence throughout World War II and had a hand in several anti-Jewish and other intelligence operations. When the Nazis fell, she gave free perfume to GIs to bribe her way out of immediate incarceration, fleeing to Switzerland. She ultimately escaped punishment after the war as Winston Churchill directly intervened on her behalf. This was allegedly due to blackmail, as she had knowledge about high-level politicians, members of the royal family and their close Nazi connections that would have been disastrous were it be made public. She died an old and very rich lady revered by many, with the full details of her horrible past only really coming to light after she died. Redditors who have committed a crime and got away with it. What crime did you commit and what's the story? When I was a kid I stuffed my pockets with coffee beans from Kroger. When I got home I asked my cousin if they wanted any and showed them my pockets stuffed with coffee beans and they looked at me like I was stupid. I grew up in a small town. One night, my best friend and I broke into the fairgrounds and stole a bunch of shit. Little gnomes, planters, flags, etc. We then put them randomly all over town. It made the small little paper and everyone was perplexed. It was me. I was 10. I took my own mowing money and rented a copy of Mega Man X. I never took it back, ever. The store was open for another few years, and eventually shut down. They told me I owed them hundreds of dollars for late fees. And I fucking got away with it. Amazon price glitch, got 2 monitors for free. First time was an accident, second time was to test the theory. Didn't want to do it a third time cause intentionally it can be a crime. What villain was terrifying because they were right? Magneto is my favorite villain of all time. Every time his motives are brought to light I get that yeah, I kinda get it moment. None of you said the most terrifying one. Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls. He wanted to bring free energy and advanced technology to the people. And in one episode he actually did. He made the world an amazing place. And then the Powerpuff Girls ruined it all. Red Queen Resident Evil, I have locked down this facility to prevent a world-ending virus, please could you good guys pay attention and not blow holes in the doors. Ken from the Bee Movie. I too would go absolutely berserk if a talking bee stole my girlfriend and gaslit me into thinking I was crazy. Count Dooku just straight up told Obi-Wan that the Sith control the Senate. Arya's parents on Pretty Little Liars. They're villainized for not letting their high school daughter date her teacher? Redditors who have worked around death/burial, what's your best ghost story? I used to be a driver for a funeral home corporation. Like, drive the hearse and pick up the bodies. Never had anything creepy happen, a few funny things, a few traumatic things. In general it was a chill job. However, I did get incredibly uncomfortable one night picking up a man who died at home. He still had the defibrillator leads on his chest and his eyes were closed, which is unusual because the eyes are always open. He just looked like he was asleep or unconscious. Not rigid or pale or anything. I just had this sinking feeling for about half an hour in traffic that he was going to suddenly gasp and wake up in the body bag. Then it hit me. That would be the coolest thing ever. I'd take him home and he'd be back with his family. So I just kind of drove slowly and turned up some music and sang along and talked to him. When I got him to the funeral home I left him out of the cooler for about an hour while I did paperwork and played on my phone. When I got another call I checked on him and his limbs had started to stiffen. I was kind of bummed. I put him in the cooler and went on my next call. I shit myself 4x in rush hour traffic tonight. I, 36F, have been a bit backed up this week. This morning, still no BM, so I popped some X-Lax and got busy with work and my day. I didn't think about it again. As I was driving home at 5:45 p.m., my stomach started to gurgle and cramp. Within 1.5 blocks, it was too late. I was losing the battle. I reached into the back seat and grabbed a few reusable grocery bags and paused right in the middle of stop-and-go traffic, lifted up off the seat, and slid the bags between me and the seat. If this was going to happen, I wasn't going to wreck my car seat. In the 25 minutes from first cramp to home, I had 4 separate hummus-like BMs. I was in too much discomfort from the cramping and gas pain to even process the horror at the time. I illegally parked directly in front of my building with flashers, and waited for a smoker to finish his last toke so I would have complete privacy from the car to the lobby to my apt. There was no mess on the bags, it was all in my jeans still. I threw out the top bag anyhow. The cleanup process was traumatic. I didn't know an adult human could make a mess like that. I cleaned up, showered, excessively, using both dish and antibacterial hand soap. I threw out the panties and jeans. I could have cleaned them, but I just could not deal with any more mess. I made my first ever Reddit throwaway because I needed to process this drama out loud but will never tell anyone I know this. Got caught in a rainstorm and my new white shorts turned see-through. Rookie mistake I suppose, was pretty embarrassing though. What movie do you enjoy that you will 100% agree is a bad movie? The Core. I'm paraphrasing here, but there's a portion in the movie where everyone says it can't be done, but one guy takes a drag on a cig and says, "But what if we could?" The entire movie progresses on that point. Fool's gold. It's a dumb movie that makes no sense, but for some reason I go back and watch it at least once a year and enjoy it every time. Street Fighter with Raul Julia as Bison and Kylie Minogue as Kemi. Oh, and a Samoan bloke as E Honda, because 90s. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It's so much fun and I love the Nautilus. Batman and Robin is certainly a bad movie. I love it so much. It's worth watching for Arnold and his puns alone. But the whole movie is just campy fun. Early Van Damme movies. They're awful, but I've seen them all multiple times. Give me a Kickboxer, Double Impact double feature and I'll be there to watch that garbage. I effed my best friend last night and now I wanna throw up. I, 21F, have a best friend, 20F, that's been with me through hell and back for a long time. She's my girl. She's my rock. She's my writing star. We plan to be famous authors one day. But last night? All we wanted was to be under the influence of something. So, she suggested I walk to the store and get a bottle of UV Blue. I came back. We drank. I poured my heart out and began crying and laughing. She held me. Eventually, she dared me to take a double shot and I slammed them both. I immediately ran to the toilet and threw up. Then proceeded to get in the shower and just lay on the tub floor while she sat on the toilet lid. She interrupted me mid-rant and asked me, "What would you do if I said I wanted to kiss you right now?" God. I never stood a chance. We took it downstairs and dear Lord was it amazing. I hated how amazing it was. The Hannah Montana movie was in the background. Afterwards we proceeded to just laugh and talk and cuddle in the bed together. The next morning, now, it really dawned on me what I just did. Oh my God. That's supposed to be my best friend. Why am I gripped with so much anxiety right now? I want to never mention it again and let it float in the air. Small update, she went to let the dog out and came back and said it feels so good outside, it's cold, and I replied yeah because it's hot as hell in here. And she smirked at me and blew me a kiss. Dear God, I'm weak. After not eating all day, this happens the second I get home with my food. Does God hate me? Waiters of Reddit, what's the worst first date you've ever seen? I was working in a small restaurant with 2 floors. A woman and a man came in and I had a table for them upstairs. It looked like they had a first date because they were asking those getting to know each other questions. After ordering food, the woman had to go to the toilet, which is downstairs. As she walked to the stairs, the food arrived. She walked down, tripped and fell all the way down, knocking her head on the ground. 2 colleagues immediately rushed over to her to see how she was doing. She was unconscious and bleeding from her head, so they called an ambulance. I went to the man while he already started eating and told him his partner didn't know how to call her, fell down the stairs and that she was unconscious and that an ambulance was on the way. He walked to the stairs, looked down and walked back to his table to finish his food. Later the ambulance arrived and I asked him if he wanted to go with him to the hospital and he said no while finishing her food as well. It was so awkward he just sat there for another 45 minutes eating, drinking, paid the bill and left. I still don't know what kind of relationship they had and whether the woman is okay. I think my dad unalived someone when I was a kid. One night, when I, 36F, was about 8 or 9 years old, mid-90s, my father took my little brother and I to Blockbuster to pick out movies. We left there and my dad stopped at a corner store for some snacks and he parked on the side of the building. He left me and my brother in the car while he ran in. On his way out, a man came up behind him and held something to his side. My dad pretended he was going to hand the man his wallet, but he instead elbowed the man in his face and he fell to the ground. The guy got up and came at my dad with a knife and my dad fought it away from him and stabbed him with it. It was long and that shit went all the way in. The guy let out this horrible groan. I can still hear it. He left the guy on the floor writhing, hopped in the car and took off. For so many years I thought this was a dream until my little brother mentioned it to me when asking if I remembered. We've never brought this up to my father, ever. I've always wondered what happened to that guy, but this was way before cell phones and stuff, so who knows. It's crazy the weight that comes off of someone when they say things they've always been holding in. Men of Reddit, what's one thing you will never understand about women? Based on the amount of hair I have seen in the bathroom, and that I somehow still keep finding in my clothes/butt crack, how do you still have so much hair on your head? Are you planting hair ties and bobby pins everywhere to mark your territory? This actually came up in a previous relationship when my girlfriend, at the time, found a foreign bobby pin in one of the bathroom drawers. and freaked out about it until I casually explained that she is in fact not the first girlfriend I ever had and that I don't go through and scrub every inch of my apartment after a breakup. Why are women clothing sizes all over the place? One store's size 4 could be a 9 at a different store. Edit. Whoa, this comment exploded. Starting a conversation, then continuing the conversation after walking into another room where you can't be heard. How a woman can instantly tap into the rage, with zero energy loss, they experienced from an argument we had 2 years ago, and I don't even remember it happening.